Hey guys, Aquatic Bobs. Should be a fun little video tonight. Just want to talk a little bit about why my tank has been more successful over the last few months than ever before. So like I said, just want to do kind of like a shorter video tonight. And you know, I tell my wife all the time, and she just laughs now and walks away, but I always say, man, this coral is really starting to color up. And I keep telling her that this coral's really starting to color up, and I keep talking about all these different corals in the tank, and she just smirks and walks away now. But over the last few months, I almost every day I'm looking at the coral in this tank, and I'm looking at these like, dang, this is really starting to color up. This bubble yum acro here, this circus freak, if we go back, you know, 3 or 4 months, this thing was all just kind of a pale offset blue. That didn't look that great. Let me get a little extra light on the side here again. Sometimes these ones up front are shaded. But yeah, this is the circus freak. You can really see down around the base some of the greens coming in. On the top right side, you can see a lot of pinks and purple with some bright green and yellow tips. This is the Haymaker Acropora, Top Shelf Aquatics Haymaker. Another beautiful piece. The Acrolandia. This is Fruity Pebbles. Might not even need the light anymore. Cherry Bomb. But yeah, I feel so excited, and I'm actually proud of this tank. You know, I've always been proud that I've been able to keep coral. Something that I've only been doing for... Actually, to tell you the truth, I don't think it's even been 5 years. I think it's like 4 years since I really got into the hobby and started even the saltwater side of it. It's probably been around 4 years, and it all started with a betta fish. I bought a betta fish, brought it home for my wife one day. She liked it, and it just kept going from there. More tanks, more fish, to the point where she stopped liking it because I got obsessed. And I finally convinced her. I kind of convinced her, kind of just pulled the trigger on getting a new tank, and then set it up as a saltwater tank. But we got a lot of bad advice when we first got into the hobby. People were telling us, you have to have a canister filter. That's the only way you can have a saltwater tank. You have to get a canister filter. Mostly people at PetSmart and Petco, and they were saying you can't add fish for 3 to 6 months when you set up a saltwater tank. Just stuff that, you know, is BS. There's no truth to that. You're making this really broad blanket statement restricting people from something that they could really be enjoying and appreciating. Instead of trying to tell me why I shouldn't start a saltwater tank, try to tell me ways that maybe I could start one and be effective sooner versus later. I just fed my fish, and some of the food dropped right on the right side of these Sunny D's, and the fish were just slamming it, just hitting it hard. I was kind of a little bit worried, but yeah. So anyways, back to the point. I'm gonna try to keep this under 10 minutes tonight. Sometimes I just ramble. I don't really script these videos. I just enjoy it enough to pick up the camera and talk about the tank. But over the last few months, so a few months ago, had some ups and downs. Obviously, the alkalinity swing was one. The nutrients bottoming out around 0. And then when I finally got the nutrients under control, the cyano was the next thing. And then the alkalinity was the next thing. Now, it's been a good 2.5, 3 months, and everything has been stable. I've been feeding every day pellets. I feed a pretty generous amount of pellets, and I feed the frozen fish food blend that my dad and I made. and if you want to see the video for that, it's a few videos back, between 5 and 10 videos back probably, and we go over how we make our own frozen fish food. They actually sold a couple bags to a really nice guy out in California, I believe, who said he's been feeding it to his coral and fish every day, and they love it. They're just eating it up. Everything in this tank loves it. Same with mine, everything. I can spot feed or I can broadcast feed, and everything loves it. But the key is, the long story short, the moral of the success of this tank is I've just found a happy place to keep everything. I stopped messing with the lighting. I stopped messing with dosing different things. I stopped messing with how much of different things I dose and different levels, and trying to chase numbers, trying to chase pH, trying to chase nitrates, alkalinity, phosphates. You know, I got in a rhythm of doing everything consistently, the same stuff every day. I dose 2 drops of iodine once every other week. I do a water change, probably about a 20% water change, once every other week. I change my carbon once every other week. I feed my fish the same stuff every day. The frozen fish food, amino acids, about a teaspoon of reeferoids, and then a couple little pinches of pellets. And I've just fallen into the same routine. I haven't even tested my water parameters for probably the last 2 weeks, and everything has just been amazing. My camera doesn't pick up the colors nearly as well as what it is, but even looking on my camera screen right now as I'm watching this video, I'm like, this tank actually looks pretty dang good. And then when I get it into post video and I'm able to change the color temperature of the video, it just pulls everything into perspective. And it's just like, wow. Some of them, honestly, I'm telling the truth, some corals I actually have to manipulate so that they don't look fake. When I do the top-down shots of this Walt Disney here, it literally looks fake. The pinks and the purples, it doesn't look like a real coral. And I go back and I look above the tank and I'm like, that's really what it looks like. You know, some of these corals, it's really what they look like. In person, it's just amazing. It's hard to capture acropora colors efficiently and effectively on camera. And you can ask Jake Adams about that. He will testify to that. But yeah, this tank it's a result of consistency. It's not because I have some secret sauce. It's not because I have some magic potion or I pay some professional or expert to come in and do a bunch of stuff for me. It's because I just take care of the tank consistently. I do the same stuff over and over again. And if I don't have time to do something important that day, I make it an absolute point to do it the next day. So I write down my goals now. This is a good life lesson, actually. Wake up in the morning and don't just make a mental note of it, because if you make a mental note and don't write it down, you're more likely to talk yourself out of it or give yourself an excuse or reasons why you shouldn't have to follow through with it. But if you write down your goals for the day, not just with your tank, but everything in life, if you go ahead and you write down your goals for the day, you're going to be holding yourself accountable. And if you write down those goals for the day and take it even a step further, and you give that to your wife or to your husband or to one of your best friends or a family member, and you say, these are my goals for the day, these are my goals for the week, these are my goals for the month, these are my goals for 2022, and you start effectively doing that every day and consistently, you are going to be a freaking champion. You're going to hold yourself accountable. Other people are going to hold you accountable. And there's something about when you write it down that you wind up doing it. You wind up just doing it. And so I encourage you guys, maybe just start with your tank. If that's not what you want to do for life, fine. Whatever. You're missing out, but that's okay. Just start with your tank. Write down your goals tomorrow morning. maybe it's just going to be something simple. Maybe it's going to be, I'm just going to feed the fish this much, and I'm going to add some amino acids. And then the next day, and then the next day, write them down again. And then this coming weekend, write down your goal for the day. Do a water change. Or write down your goals tonight that you want to have as weekly goals. Write them down and see what happens, because you're going to start holding yourself accountable. And when you write it down, you're going to start thinking about it throughout the day, and it's going to bug you if you try to bypass it. Something inside of you is programmed to follow through and commit with the things that we write down, especially if we're showing it to our loved ones or good friends. And I just want to encourage you guys, just start with that. A lot of people ask me questions. What do you do with this? What are your pumps at? What are your lights at? What are your nutrients at? What's your salinity at? What's this at? What do you do? What do you dose? All this stuff. And it's like, just figure out what you want your tank to be. I want this just to be simple, you guys. And my tank is simple. And that looks so funny. I'd clean my glass just before I started the video. But my tank really is simple. I dose the same stuff, just 2-part, calcium and alkalinity, Brightwell Aquatics, Reef Code A and Reef Code B. And I told you about my iodine, and I do my regular water changes, and that's all that I dose, other than feeding the tank and amino acids. But so write it down, figure out a plan, and just go with it. And that's my answer. That's how you're going to have a successful tank, is get it going. I've seen, and many of you can even attest to this, let me know in the comments below how wacky some of your numbers might be, but you might still be seeing some extreme success just because you've kept your alkalinity at 6.0 and it's been there for the last year, but yet your tank still looks nicer than 90% of the other tanks out there because you kept it stable. But the person who has alkalinity of 6.5 and says, no, I got to get it to 8.5, and every day you're making adjustments to try to get it to 8.5, and it's 3 months later and you're at 8.0, and then the next day it's 8.7, and then the next day it's 7.8, and it's like, just find a steady ground to stand on consistently. I'm already over 10 minutes, so I'm going to end it here. And stick to it, and give it a while and see where it goes. Get a par meter. Make sure you're checking stuff, though, for when you set the stage for your consistency. But once your stage is set, just leave it alone. Yeah, you're not going to see big changes within the first couple weeks probably. It's going to take a good month or two before you start noticing the benefits of the stability. But that's the greatest lesson I could teach someone in this hobby is, yeah, you hear it all the time, patience, but it's really stability. I do a lot to my tank every day, and I spend a lot of time with it, but I spend a lot of time just doing the same stuff over and over. Just like I've been repetitive in this video, that's the answer to your crisis at home right now. That's the answer. If you got algae problems and other big issues, yes, that stuff needs to be addressed, but that really is the result as well of inconsistencies. So, all right, guys, I appreciate you guys. Sorry I haven't been staying up with one video a week. I really do love this. I'm still planning on going to school for law enforcement. That's kind of where my heart's at. And I've been asking around about it, asking for advice, asking local police officers what the job is like in my city here. And I'm pretty excited about it. I'm excited to serve. I'm excited to be part of a team in that area again. And the pay is pretty good where I'm at too, so won't complain about that. But I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. It's Aquatic Bobs out.